Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Today in this episode of Behind Each Film Grain, we're going to talk about the Contax RX. So let's get into it. All right, so you notice right off that this camera looks very similar to a DSLR camera as opposed to an SLR camera. The only difference between the two is that you can tell that it doesn't have a display on the back. Okay, so this Contax RX has a lot of cool features that it offers, more so than your regular SLR camera. So in this one, it looks very similar to the DSLR. If you were to quickly glance at it, you would think this was a SLR or DSLR camera as opposed to an SLR camera. From left to right, this indicator right here, this big huge dial wheel, indicates the speed at which you can control your shutter speed, right? 1/25 of a second is usually my go-to because I shoot a lot of f16 or Sunny 16, sorry. And so I'll set it at 1/25 of a second, and whatever film, in this case, Kodak Pro 100 Image or Pro Image 100, it is 100 grain. So appropriately, if I'm shooting Sunny 16, it is setting at 1/125 of a second, and then my shutter speed would be at f16. Right, that's proper Sunny 16 setup. So knowing that I'm shooting Sunny 16 and I'm going to shoot wide open, which is 3:4 on this camera or on this lens setting, that's a lot of exposure. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 stops of light, right? So like, how do I keep that from being overexposed? So in this setting, I'm shooting basically in the Sunny 16, I'm shooting Aperture Priority, really comes down to it. So I will sometimes cheat, leave it at wide open, and then compensate for the four stops of light. So that's how I'd compensate. But enough of that. Let's get back to shooting or explaining all the features of the Contax. So that was the speed wheel, and then next to it, along here in the colors, you have your manual setting. Along with it, then your other dials, such as your bulb mode, your what do you call it? Your flash sync, then switching over to your manual program. Speed or shutter speed and aperture, right? And this, I love this feature because this, you have to press this button, the ISO button, in order for it to move about. And then when you release, it's locked in, and so you can't accidentally change your settings in that sense. But going over, okay, so you have the ISO button. It also acts as your ISO dial, right? So if you were to press that button in and then look at your display when this is turned on, you have two indicators, one for up and one for down. It doesn't say specifically. You just kind of have to play around with it if you wanted to change your ISO to, like, say, in this case it's 100. I can then push this button, and the combination of this other button with my other thumb, I would change it to ISO 50 or 25, and then use the meter that's built in to dial in for the right correction or the correct speed, right, in which I need to shoot it at. So with that, you've got your rewind button. You push that in and you pull back, and it would wind the film back into the canister, and then you can take it to your developers. All right, and then last, your eyepiece. I don't know if I spoke to this real quick, but that's again for long exposures, and then just keeping everything from being light leak, right? So we've covered this top dial. You have a cold shoe. It has that universal flash sync that you can put any flash on it, regardless of being Contax, Canon, anything that you would want that would sync into it, right? Especially with you have your 2 additional holes on, or 2 or 4 additional contacts specific. All right, what else is there? In the front, you have your metering button, which is very similar to all the Contax that I've ever owned. That's where that button is. And then off to the side, you have, if you can see right there, I'm pointing at, that is your lens release. And then at the bottom of that is another button, and that is your depth of field button, which I don't really know how to use, and I don't know if anyone really knows how to use it. Like, I've asked that question with all photographers that are older than me, or that they should know their cameras, but like trying to explain how to use that depth of field to gauge the distance between lens and subject, that's a mystery to me. So I don't want to ever use it. I just kind of know where to look in terms of the lens. This is, however, a 35 to 70 lens and f3.4. So it's a Carl Zeiss lens, guys. Probably one of the top lenses that is designed for this body in the Contax world. It is pretty desirable, I think. From 35 to 70, you have this telescoping capability of shooting, and also shooting macro. If you turn it all the way, if you turn this dial all the way, and it'll say macro, you click it over and you can feel it. Listen. Yeah, it becomes a macro lens, right? So you get 3 things. You get close, far, and macro, all built into one finely tuned, beautiful lens. Look at that long throw, that focus length. I do have in here a split viewfinder, which makes it easier to get focus. And so this thing is pretty mint. I am the second owner of this beautiful Contax RX. I never heard about it until I saw it in the shop, and I thought, this is mine, right? So I keep buying things that I say I'm gonna sell, but then I get so attached to it, and I shouldn't, but I do. So another cool thing. So the Kyocera, it was where this camera was produced in Japan. The other Kyocera camera that I have is a point and shoot, and that is the Yashica T4 Super, which is an amazing camera, guys. So if you haven't looked into the Contax series, it's really rather inexpensive right now. I know that everything is being jacked up in pricing, and so when you see this, if you do see this, you're probably going to be looking at around 300 plus for body and lens. If you find one, they go in that range for body only. I think you're going to look at around 100 180, 190, up to upwards of 2 something, 300. Depends on the condition and where you're getting it from. So me, I think I'm gonna probably keep this one. I have in the past, I own this as well, the RTS. Very simple, right? This is the first generation of the RTS, and in that line there is 3 versions of this, and the 3rd version looks very similar to this, right? With all the high-tech gadgetry, and a lot heavier than this RX. So anyways, guys, I appreciate everyone coming in, you know, checking out my video and give me your support. And yeah, it's been fun. You know, this new year of 2022 looks promising. Hopefully I can travel more and show you more than just what you're seeing. But anyways, guys, thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.